Welcome to Central Houston's 36th annual meeting. We appreciate you joining us as we gather again this year. When we met last, could we possibly have imagined that this year we would do this virtually with most of us at our homes, or maintaining more than 6 feet apart, or having masks in our wardrobes? I greatly miss seeing you and cannot wait for the time we are together again in person. Our creative juices have been tapped figuring out how to carry on successfully with Zoom and Teams, but I am seeing a growing desire to return safely to days that bring us together downtown. And yes, we are coming back. The return to offices is picking up. Over 70% of our restaurants are open. Residential properties are signing new leases, and we are finding ways to safely gather for the arts, sports, and worship, and to enjoy our parks and public spaces. COVID has not stopped us. Progress is being made, building a vital central city and downtown. Construction advances on exciting new office and residential buildings and infrastructure projects. Today, however, we are excited to address homelessness. I will admit that we have always wanted an annual meeting with such a focus, but hesitated to do so because we felt that it might not be upbeat enough for our event. But in these times, we feel that it is so important that you learn how Houston and Harris County are pulling together to permanently house and better serve the needs of our homeless neighbors, especially in this pandemic. Daily, I hear concerns about homeless individuals on our streets, their visibility now magnified by the lack of regular activity. Their challenges seem almost too hard to handle. But with the benefit of federal emergency aid and unprecedented collaboration among housing and service providers, the city, county, and other agencies, this circumstance can change. Our community is poised to take another step forward as a national leader, reaching out, housing, and caring for those living on our streets. So thank you again for joining us today as we learn more about charting a path forward for addressing homelessness. Before we learn more, I would like to recognize our presenting sponsor, Chevron. We are truly grateful for our Chevron friends' terrific support in all that we do, as well as their presence as the leading corporate community stakeholder. Our city is enormously benefited by Chevron's leadership and support, whether preparing our region's youth, investing in innovation, empowering independence through food and housing security, and many other community priorities. We give our sincerest thanks to Chevron. Let me also acknowledge and give thanks to our gold sponsors that have made this event possible, including the Kinder Foundation, Bracewell, Hillcorp Energy Company, Walter P. Moore, Heinz, Midway, Everett Interest, Gensler, Main Lane MC Squared, Gulf Coast Pavers, SWA, Cameron Management, Lauren Griffith Associates, King and Spalding, Camden, Frost, Block by Block, Deloitte, Structure Tone, JP Morgan Chase, and Centerpoint Energy. We also appreciate so much our friend sponsors that are so supportive of our organization and its programs. A big thanks for your steadfast help in these challenging times. Our annual meeting is a time to reflect. And when I think about all that we have accomplished over the past year, I'm incredibly proud, especially given what we have faced. And this would not be possible without the tremendous collaboration of our public and private partners, all reaching toward a common goal of making our region and its core a great place. Our partners include all levels of government, as well as nonprofit organizations, businesses, foundations, and citizens with whom we work every day. We are extremely grateful to all for what you do for our city and its downtown. We are pleased that Judge Lina Hidalgo joins us today. We sincerely appreciate her leadership, especially as she has worked tirelessly through this pandemic while continuing to advance the county on so many other fronts. We're looking forward to working in partnership with her in addressing the homeless and underserved populations. Her energy just seems tireless as she manages an extremely full agenda for the county, while on a personal note, training and competing this year and virtually next year in the Chevron Houston Marathon. I don't know how she does it. We share our thanks to her and fellow members of the Commissioner's Court. We welcome Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo.
Good afternoon, Central Houston. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everybody for tuning in. As always, Bob, thank you for your dedication to this community and your years of service. And to Mayor Turner, thank you for your partnership and for your leadership. I appreciate our work together more than ever, particularly during this pandemic. I appreciate the work that Central Houston continues to do in innovating and in being ambitious with your vision, making sure that you are making that progress on public spaces, on transportation, on development. That's what keeps us dynamic and challenges us to think big as well. Last year we met in a big room with lots of people, and I talked about how we need to work together to make sure that Harris County and Houston are cool, are places where young people want to continue to stay and have a family, to put down roots, where folks want to continue to come, that it's a thriving region. And of course, that was before this crisis, that was before COVID. Now challenges are bigger, but we're gonna get through those together. I know a lot of people are hurting. There's folks who are able to work remotely, to work virtually, but of course that is having an impact, and it's going to have an impact in what downtown looks like. But downtown continues to be an engine of progress and of growth, and we're going to adjust. We're gonna find how it adjusts, how it is nimble, and we're gonna come out stronger on the other side of this. In Harris County, we're working to make sure that we're fueling that engine with our investments, that despite the challenges right now, we're stepping up and supporting the community. We've invested local and federal funds, over $70 million in direct financial assistance for the most vulnerable families in our communities, targeted specifically to help folks who really need it. We've invested $40 million for small businesses, $40 million for rental assistance to support landlords and tenants. We've invested millions of dollars on domestic violence prevention and support to victims, on workforce development, $30 million to our schools to support students with the equipment that they need, with the laptops and the iPads and the hotspots, so that they can remain connected and continue to learn. Those are issues that we have to address regardless, but we're stepping up because we want to make sure right now that we continue to fight. An additional area that has been a challenge, and we're taking this opportunity to address it in an innovative way, is homelessness. I'm so proud to have worked with Mayor Turner, with Commissioner's Court, and the members of City Council to make a $60 million investment in homelessness. And it's not just the investment, it's the shift in paradigm. We're not just adding another stop on the path from the streets to the jail, perhaps to an institution that supports mental health treatment, and then back to the streets. We're working on following folks and supporting them to permanent housing, to the long-term treatment that they need, with investments in processes and systems, and also in a new Harris County facility that supports mental health treatment for the long haul. And so it's an issue that's been with us since before COVID, but can be exacerbated by this crisis, and we want to make sure and tackle it. Whether it's flood control, whether it's justice reform, transportation, environment, the way we do budgeting in this county for the billions of dollars we allocate each year, we're thinking about it in new ways and getting to the core of the structures that we need to reform and we need to update to make sure we remain competitive. And that's what's going to take. It's going to take that continued partnership, your continued vision and leadership. Know that you have in the county a partner, an admiring partner, and we're going to continue getting through this crisis and making sure that we come out ready to come back stronger and ready to continue building on that new normal and advancing the challenges and the promise that our community has. So thank you again so much for including me. Everybody stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Judge, for your kind words. We're very pleased to have Mayor Sylvester Turner with us again today. I cannot say enough about his leadership, tirelessly working through COVID while continuing to advance so many other initiatives, growing complete communities and neighborhoods, pushing to house our homeless citizens, leading on the North Houston Highway Improvement Project, as well as economic development, innovation, and technology. This list could go on, but let me say we are motivated by his contagious energy, enthusiasm, and passion for our city. We're very grateful to you, Mayor.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be with you today at the virtual Central Houston Annual Meeting. I always enjoy this gathering. I love the energy of a ballroom filled with people who represent the best Houston has to offer. Business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, educators, innovators, builders, and developers. You share your love for Houston and your commitment to making downtown the very best it can be. I find it inspiring to be with you, and I look forward to a time when we are together in person once more. Central Houston plays an important role in our city. Downtown would not be what it is today without its influence, and I am grateful for the organization's leadership over these years. Its collective vision and dedication helped create this dynamic urban core so vital to our community. I want to recognize the outstanding work of Central Houston's board, its membership and staff, as well as the boards of the Downtown Redevelopment Authority and the Downtown District. Bob Urey does a lot, but he would be the first to tell you he does not do it alone. And I truly thank you all for your thought leadership and participation in our city's progress. You have contributed to the North Houston Highway Improvement Project. This $7 billion project will realign I-45 into the I-69 corridor and will benefit our city in many ways. It will increase traffic flow, improve access to neighborhoods, and create transformational development and civic improvement opportunities, both to the east by George R. Brown and around downtown, including reuse of the Pierce Elevated. I'm also working with TxDOT as we engage the community to resolve the project's impact as plans are developed. I appreciate everyone who is involved. I also want to recognize County Judge Lina Hidalgo. I value her friendship and I appreciate her collaboration, especially this year, as we have had incredible challenges to face together. Judge, thank you for your leadership and hard work on behalf of our region. I am grateful that we are working together on homelessness with the Community COVID-19 Housing Program announced in June. This year has tested all of us. Economic hardship has fallen on so many households in our city. Food insecurity has risen. As paychecks dried up, so did the ability to pay necessary expenses. I am proud of the ways we are supporting our citizens during this time. Has it been perfect? No, it has not. And I wish we could have done more. But in this great challenge, we have found an opportunity for transformational change. Earlier this summer, the judge and I announced the Homelessness Initiative. For years, we have been driving down our homeless numbers. When you compare our data with other cities, it's clear that we are far ahead on this issue. We've followed the research on this, and our efforts are paying off. Yet the challenge of the pandemic threatened people's housing security. That's why the city, together with many partners, are implementing changes that truly will make a difference. These new programs provide essential wraparound services because simply putting a roof over one's head is not enough. This new $65 million program is designed to touch over 5,000 of our citizens who are homeless or on the verge of becoming homeless. It will provide rapid rehousing rental assistance to approximately 1,700 newly homeless people who don't require intensive case management. Permanent supportive housing will provide shelter to approximately 1,000 people currently experiencing homelessness. While they wait for a housing unit, they are mostly on the street or in encampments. It will divert approximately 2,000 people from shelters by providing up to 3 months of rent. It will also help those recently housed who were homeless with ongoing rental assistance. It will expand mental health case management services to protect high-risk, recently housed people against eviction. It will maintain connections to care and services. It will address the highly visible unsheltered street homeless individuals and expand outreach to those in areas beyond the urban core across our city and county. The city will be moving forward next spring to lower the density of those in shelters with the development of a low-barrier emergency shelter that has been discussed for many years. This facility will house approximately 130 individuals and have services on site. Homelessness is a complex issue. We are addressing it head-on, guided by research and compassion and cooperation and ingenuity, because this is Houston and we solve problems here. In the energy sector, the related impacts of the pandemic are taking a toll on our community's economy, especially downtown, where we are waiting for a return of workers, sports spectators, arts patrons, and city guests. As we recover, I see increasing importance in our efforts to grow our great city as an innovation center where startups come to grow their businesses. I am proud of the diverse and inclusive technology ecosystem we have built with downtown Launchpad, and I look forward to its impact on job creation and investment in our community. We have experienced a tough year. We have worked through these challenges together across lines of differences, and that brings me hope. Houston is a strong and resilient city, and I am optimistic about the future. The election is just days away. If you have not yet voted, make a plan and get to the polls. Much is at stake, so please make your voice heard. Central Houston, thank you for including me in your annual meeting. I appreciate you calling attention to the work we are doing on homelessness and how that work reflects our identity as Houstonians. Compassionate, thoughtful folks who collaborate and cooperate to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mayor, for your excellent leadership. It is now time to turn to business, as this is our organization's annual member meeting. To lead us, I want to introduce our chair, Jonathan Brinston, Chief Executive Officer of Midway. We deeply appreciate Jonathan's leadership in both the community, where he serves on multiple boards, including the Coalition for the Homeless and Search. He gives generously of his time while being recognized for his corporate leadership, and now serving as chair of the Americas for the Urban Land Institute, the premier global real estate development organization. On a personal level, I value his friendship and counsel as we strengthen our organization in these difficult times. Please join me in welcoming Jonathan Brinston.
Thank you, Bob. Central Houston's continued success depends on the support and active participation of our membership. You enable the work we do to make downtown a vital part of this great city, especially in these times. Each year, we begin with a few minutes of annual meeting business. Let me start by recognizing our members. We are deeply appreciative of your support. You are what makes this organization successful. In anticipation of this meeting, our Central Houston members elected directors by proxy. Asterisks note our newly elected or re-elected directors. I want to thank these individuals for their guidance and welcome those just elected. We look forward to your service. I also would like to recognize Nilofar Malavi, Global Leader of Oil and Gas at PwC, Central Houston's Vice Chair and Chair-elect, who will take on my role as Chair in January. We are very grateful for her commitment to lead in these challenging times. As you know, Central Houston works in partnership with our sister entities, the Houston Downtown Management District and the Downtown Redevelopment Authority. On behalf of Central Houston, I want to thank the board members of these entities for their service and recognize Leslie Ashby, Chair of the District Board, and Curtis Flowers, Chair of the Authority Board, for their leadership. The entities provide a heavy lift in accomplishing our shared vision for downtown. Finally, I'd like to recognize the outstanding and tireless work of the staff members of Central Houston and its sister entities. Thank you. This year has brought many unexpected and challenging developments, and I sincerely hope you, your families, and colleagues have remained safe and healthy. For Houston and downtown, COVID-19 collided with an already volatile energy market, resulting in unprecedented disruptions. The future remains uncertain. While many aspects of business have been postponed in 2020, I promise you that Central Houston's work continued at full speed. Every day, discussions and actions are taken at Central Houston that shape the future of our city. We are an organization that takes pride in being a visionary, action-oriented catalyst, bringing partners together to make change. In short, we get things done. And indeed, we are experiencing unprecedented growth in downtown and the central city. For instance, we now have more than 10,000 people living in downtown, and 70,000 live in a 2-mile radius with more residential construction underway. We now have 28 hotels with nearly 8,400 rooms ready to provide hospitality for an increasing number of meeting, convention, and major event guests. And downtown boasts over 400 food and beverage options, offering something for everyone. Exciting changes are happening in the workplace, with many dollars being invested in new office construction and major renovation, and development of great public spaces that are highly activated gathering places used by everyone, workers, residents, and visitors alike, with more on the way. I could go on, but I believe all agree that our collective efforts have paid off, and these accomplishments reinforce the necessity of organizations such as Central Houston. Yes, COVID is having an impact, but we feel confident about a safe return to a downtown that is a more exciting place. Our strategic focus continues to be guided by the principles of envisioning a world-class center of our region. We identify strategic priorities, discover solutions to problems, and engage with partners to achieve our goals. First, we must maximize once-in-a-lifetime opportunities for civic enhancement related to fulfilling the promise of Segment 3 of the North Houston Highway Improvement Project as it encircles downtown. This includes opportunities for new and existing civic gathering places, parks, greenways, bridges, and caps linking downtown and surrounding urban neighborhoods. As you know, Central Houston has been involved in this project for almost a decade. The $7 billion initiative will affect 4 major thoroughfares that carry 250,000 vehicles per day. To remain competitive as a city, we must get this right, and it must set us on a path for the future, where all modes of passenger and freight transportation are accommodated, while community concerns and exciting civic opportunities are addressed. We're advancing other transportation needs as we assist Metro in determining demand for service as we come back to the workplace. And we look forward to working with the Downtown District and Fort Bend Transit on direct park and ride service from Fort Bend County starting about this time next year. We're also working to keep downtown's economy robust and growing, so we must continue to increase our focus on recruiting new employers to downtown. At Central Houston, we're engaging with existing and new companies about downtown's ever-increasing vibrancy as the premier work environment when their employees come back. But we also recognize there are challenges, including managing homelessness, the effects of the impending highway construction, and the current impact of COVID-19. Fortunately, we're engaged in new efforts to address these. Despite our challenges, the downtown office market remains resilient with a strong belief in the downtown workplace. Next, we took Mayor Turner's bold challenge to help shape the vision for Houston's innovation ecosystem. Here's a short video to show you exactly what we mean.
Whether it's putting a man on the moon, making life-changing medical advancements, solving the world's energy challenges, or building the first domed stadium, Houston is a city that chooses to take humankind's boldest challenges head-on. Now we are pushing to transform our city into an inclusive village of innovation where entrepreneurs and startups come to explore new possibilities as part of a thriving ecosystem. Technology and innovation are powerful engines for economic growth and vitality in cities today, but they require a concentration of talented workforce, research and development, high-quality incubators, and access to venture capital.
Through a number of city initiatives, a framework has been developed to enhance Houston's innovation ecosystem, connecting industry and institutional facilities within an urban innovation corridor. Anchored on the north by downtown and the south by the ION and Texas Medical Center, the Innovation Corridor is the center of a powerful social and economic convergence. In collaboration with the City of Houston and other organizations, Central Houston and Downtown Redevelopment Authority have created a vibrant innovation space that will be the center of gravity for technology and entrepreneurship. Downtown Launchpad.
Located in the newly transformed Amagi on Main Building, Downtown Launchpad is uniquely positioned to help startups and entrepreneurs navigate seamlessly through the stages of startup growth and production, all in one vertical village, fostering collisions in a workspace unlike any other. The 17,000 square foot space will be anchored by globally recognized startup accelerators and incubators, creating a place for idea incubation, validating, scaling, labs, creative advancements, entrepreneur boot camps, community events, workforce development and connections to co-working and corporate partnerships.
As downtown continues to become Houston's best place to live, work, and play, Downtown Launchpad will be a beacon in the fast-growing southern downtown neighborhood. Within blocks of convention, major league sports, entertainment venues, award-winning park spaces, and unequal transportation options, Downtown Launchpad is poised to leverage strategic partnerships with universities, Texas Medical Center, and the energy and business sectors by encouraging incubator and accelerator cohorts targeted at cutting-edge and future technology.
Downtown Launchpad, bringing innovation to the heart of Houston.
We set out to build an inclusive and vibrant innovation hub, and today I am pleased to note that Central Houston and the Downtown Redevelopment Authority have received 2 International Economic Development Awards for the project. Now, as we look forward to 2021, we'll stay on course, meeting challenges head-on with thoughtful solutions, just as we have for 37 years. We have an opportunity right now, as we begin to return to downtown, to see it with fresh eyes, to consider and shape the future we want to manifest here. It's quite a legacy we're building, and the future is bright. But make no mistake, this progress is only possible with your support and participation. Your engagement allows us to increase our capacity to create real change and expand our collective reach. Thank you for your continued membership and support. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today. As you may know, addressing homelessness has been a focus of Central Houston's work for decades. Late last year, we and the Coalition for the Homeless began facilitating regular cross-agency discussions to advance our efforts in this area. From those meetings, an opportunity emerged to utilize COVID emergency federal funds to bring new programs to fruition. You heard Mayor Turner and Judge Hidalgo detail this $65 million initiative. Today, the facilitator of that dialogue is here to share with us the complexity of homelessness and avenues for a clear path forward. Mandy Chapman Semple is a nationally recognized expert in building partnerships across housing, healthcare, employment, government, and philanthropy in pursuit of collective impact. Mandy served as Houston's first special assistant to the mayor for homeless initiatives for 3.5 years under Mayor Parker. She led the design and co-managed Houston's nationally recognized homeless system transformation, resulting in a 60% reduction in homelessness in just 4 years. She has since been called upon by federal agencies, mayors, and governors across the country. We deeply appreciate her current work here in advancing our homeless housing and services system. Mandy, we are so pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Today, I want to offer you a powerful perspective on homelessness. Homelessness, very simply, is the label we use for someone who lacks a regular, safe place to sleep at night. This includes those sleeping outside, in a vehicle or abandoned building, in an emergency or transitional shelter, or those fleeing domestic violence. But the real truth about homelessness is not found in unpacking its definition, or the often referenced root causes, or even in unwinding the funding sources and regulations intended to solve this complex social issue. The truth is in what homelessness actually represents in our society. Homelessness is the walking, talking, sleeping on my sidewalk manifestation of failure. Confronting failure is a very scary thing. It feels so impossible to comprehend this kind of failure, that a person could make the choice to live like this, that a society could allow this. We often have a very visceral reaction to homelessness, oscillating between pity, disgust, and outrage. If we step back from this first reaction and see homelessness for what it is, we can begin to solve it. Homelessness is actually the cutting of corners, misalignment of values, and abdication of responsibility for maintaining a balanced, healthy community. While personal choice and responsibility cannot be denied as a contributing source of one's own failure, we have to also recognize that our society has allowed an abandonment of its own understanding that we are only as strong as our weakest link. Homelessness is not just a lack of housing. It is the failure of every social safety net system, including our own familial networks, to provide the care one needs to weather some of life's most challenging moments. Whether it's addiction, mental illness, physical health, divorce, job loss, trauma, poverty, violence, rising rents, the cost of living outpacing wages, eviction, race, or simply being born in the wrong zip code, people fall through the cracks. No, gaping holes in our systems. We have allowed this abdication for decades and created a concentration of forces so powerful they have severed our very core as a society. Across the country, communities are fighting over how to make the homeless disappear. The current federal administration has threatened to clean up the streets by force in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. The forces that brought us here feel too challenging and too long of a haul to fix. So instead, we fight over who has the constitutional right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, instead of asking how we strike the balance needed to have strong, healthy communities, how to correct for decades of neglect and economic forces that swing wildly and feel uncontrollable, how to give everyone a healthy and safe existence. As much as you don't want to step over someone sleeping outside, they don't want to sleep outside. There is a common goal and a shared set of values on which to build our solutions. We just have to be willing to do the work long-term together. Across our country, 567,715 individuals were experiencing homelessness on a single night in January 2019, according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's 17 out of every 10,000 people in America. The Houston region accounts for roughly 4,000 of that national total today, with a rate of 6.5 per 10,000 individuals. Just 10 years ago, Houston's homeless count was hovering around 8,500. That's over a 50% reduction, and Houston remains one of America's most committed and successful major cities on this issue. I know this is likely not the first time you are hearing about the success and national reputation of Houston's homeless response system, called The Way Home. I'm also sure you're struggling to reconcile that supposed success with what you experience on a day-to-day basis in downtown. To fully reconcile this, we must go on a journey together to understand the forces at play, how homeless systems work to react to or influence those forces, and the competing interests and limiting factors that slow progress. No single factor is responsible for someone's homelessness. It is a series of factors that build and ultimately manifest as homelessness. These factors are not solely dictated by individual choice. There are forces at play that can limit or enhance the range of choices and make all the difference. To understand this, let's imagine you lose your job as a waiter at a restaurant because of a global pandemic. Bills are piling up, rent is still due. You're confined to your home and you begin to cripple under the weight of these pressures and suffer a mental health crisis. Seek help, but cannot afford the medications. You are caught between a series of forces that you have no control over and that relegate you to instability regardless of your choice. Add to this any type of trauma, illness, unexpected bills, addiction, or violence, and you are further confined to a life of hopeless cycling. When these forces are limiting choices en masse in our society, homeless populations explode. Just look at the West Coast. As property values rise, rents rise, and redevelopment takes place, they eliminate naturally occurring affordable housing. This is all done with the best of intentions to modernize communities and infrastructure, to enhance transportation, and spur the economy. The problem is social safety nets and income are not growing proportionally to counteract the rising rent. As a result, folks are pouring into the streets. Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, and almost every urban setting on the West Coast saw double-digit growth in the percentages of individuals sleeping outside. Unfortunately, this alarming trend is not confined to the West Coast. Denver now reports over 1,300 people sleeping in tents on its downtown streets alone. Las Vegas has more than 3,000 people sleeping outside on any given night. Dallas has seen a nearly 50% increase in unsheltered homelessness in the last 3 years. Ultimately, our leaders forgot to consider the unintended consequences of these good intentions on a more marginalized part of the community. They failed to consider how much this could disrupt the balance of a community. How will the janitor or street cleaner in these newly developed areas live here? Will we pay them more so they can? Will we include affordable housing as part of our developments to ensure a mix of incomes can thrive? Will we allow someone who has struggled in the past to live in our neighborhood, or simply deny them because of their credit or background? Often, we don't see the value of these acts until we are stepping over people sleeping on our newly poured sidewalks. These activities never seem to pencil in our development plans, but to ignore these forces as contributing factors to homelessness is naive and costly as a society. Given an understanding of these forces, it makes sense that a homelessness response system can not only consist of emergency shelters. They must be comprehensive rehousing solutions that work to influence the creation, preservation, and targeting of affordable housing. For ages, we have been led to believe that charitable organizations providing food, shelter, and services are enough to help an individual make better choices and end homelessness and poverty. The harsh reality is these services alone cannot begin to counter the forces of economic and social displacement. If we look historically at some of our most challenging times in America, bread lines fed people, but it was investment in economic security programs and affordable housing that pulled these families out of the devastating poverty and homelessness. Research shows that increasing access to affordable housing is the most cost-effective way to reduce intergenerational and childhood poverty and to increase economic mobility in the United States. If we want to see substantial and sustained change in our community, we must make an investment in the comprehensive solution, infuse affordable housing into all our development and policy choices, and build systems that return and stabilize individuals in housing as quickly as possible. We have to stop pretending charity is enough. The Way Home in Houston has done just that. In 2012, the Coalition for the Homeless, the backbone agency leading a consortium of over 100 homeless service providers, recognized, along with its city, county, and private funding partners, its own limits and its own failure to understand and account for these forces. At the time, on any given night, more people were sleeping outside than in a shelter bed. 4,500 people slept outside. The easy answer would have been to add more shelter beds, but the collective leadership understood doing so would only partially solve for the unsheltered problem and would not solve for the lack of affordable housing that was keeping our homeless count high and these individuals without a home. A comprehensive plan was prepared with the help of the entire stakeholder community, including over 100 provider organizations. With the leadership of Mayor Parker, an audacious set of goals was established to begin targeting resources and development to support the rehousing of thousands as quickly as possible. This meant the creation of 2,500 units of permanent supportive housing, the targeting of veterans and individuals experiencing chronic homelessness for the first housing placements, and enhancing services to help individuals stay housed. This reorganization and strategic plan could not have come at a better time. It allowed Houston to fully transform its homeless response system, resulting in a 70% reduction in unsheltered homelessness, the successful rehousing of tens of thousands of individuals, as well as the effective end to veteran homelessness, before the next set of forces hit: Hurricane Harvey, bail reform, and COVID-19. The Way Home was ready in each of these instances to react, harness, and counter these forces, each time enhancing its homeless system to respond to a larger and more complex population. Mayor Turner immediately took up the charge upon his inauguration and challenged the community to push further, house 500 more individuals in short order, and boosted the investments in rehousing activities. After Hurricane Harvey, Mayor Turner immediately activated the Way Home inside the George R. Brown shelter to prepare and execute a plan to rehouse disaster survivors. For the first time, instead of closing the disaster shelter and pushing anyone remaining outside, the Way Home rehoused over 800 homeless survivors in 46 days with FEMA funding. Within 9 months, all but a handful had either taken over the lease, moved to another unit, or returned to family and friends. This model was then replicated by the state of North Carolina and Puerto Rico during their respective hurricanes, and fully activated as part of HUD and FEMA's national COVID-19 response strategy. Interestingly, the best public health response in all scenarios has been to help individuals secure non-congregate housing. This is an approach fully embraced by those needing shelter. It reduces trauma, is the best way to limit the spread of infectious disease, and limits or even reverses the ability of these forces to increase homeless numbers. To that end, the Way Home immediately recognized its rehousing system as an effective public health tool and the need to double down on rehousing. The CARES Act, making unprecedented levels of federal funding available, including resources for infectious disease control among the homeless, positioned the Way Home to create a $65 million COVID CARES rehousing program called CHIP. This plan will rehouse about 5,000 individuals experiencing or at risk of homelessness over the next 2 years, substantially reducing homelessness and thus the spread of COVID-19 among this population and the community. Essentially, this plan puts the homeless rehousing system on steroids and positions it to clear the remaining backlog of homeless individuals waiting for housing. This is a very smart move, given the massive wave of evictions that are likely coming in the near future, given the next force we must reckon with. The Way Home has one of the most aggressive and determined plans to prepare for this next wave. This plan is backed by a powerful joint funding model. The city and county came together and provided $56 million in public funding, and the remaining $9 million is being raised from private sources. This program launched in early October and is already housing people and creating more than 150 new employment opportunities. The Way Home and its partners did not stop with the COVID CARES housing plan. They also leveraged this moment to bring new facilities into the homeless rehousing system to serve those who need mental health treatment or other specialized temporary housing before they enter their permanent housing units. These facilities will comply with new COVID non-congregate sheltering best practices and cast an even wider net to serve folks coming out of hospitals and jails. Additionally, it also targets more assertive outreach efforts for those sleeping outside with serious mental illness. These people have not been able to embrace the offer of permanent supportive housing without more substantial mental health intervention. The beauty of introducing these facilities at this point in the evolution of the homeless response system is that the system will have the ability to prioritize these individuals for housing, ensuring a continuum of service and breaking the cycle that has kept many of these individuals homeless on our downtown streets for years. I hope you can see now how impressive the Houston homeless response system truly is. It is a model system that is systematically confronting the forces that drive homelessness and closing these gaping holes across systems so no one falls through the cracks. It is not glamorous work and rarely gets the credit it deserves, mostly given the complexity and its own imperfections. It is also an incomplete system. I think you can appreciate the massive lift required to counter the various forces at play and the time it takes to have a measurable effect. Houston is moving faster than anyone else, and while that still may not be fast enough for many, it is the approach that brings our community into balance and positions us for success long into the future. Imagine what Houston could be experiencing if we had not made this adjustment in 2012. If we let those 8,500 individuals on any given night grow to 10,000 and then 12,000 after Harvey, Houston would be rivaling New York and Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Seattle, and San Diego. Instead, Houston now ranks among the 10 cities with the lowest homeless population per capita. So where do we go from here? There is still work to be done. Homelessness is still present and visible. That reminder of our failure to achieve the community and hope we desire for all Houstonians is ever present. These next plans will move us closer to the balance we seek and further position Houston to redefine homelessness response. We don't have to look elsewhere for solutions. We have to keep embracing our path, stare down failure, understand the complexity beneath, and systematically dismantle the forces that hold us back so we can build a strong and vibrant community for all.
Indeed, a strong and vibrant community for all. Well said, Mandy. Thank you. I'm grateful for your strategic thinking on this difficult issue and for helping us better understand the complexities at play. Now I'd like to introduce some of our local partners working tirelessly to create the change Mandy just described.
The Coalition for the Homeless is the lead agency for The Way Home and the more than 100 organizations that participate as members. All of us are fully committed to coordinate these promising new initiatives to help our community's homeless be housed and receive needed supportive services. We are grateful to the downtown community for its support and look forward to continuing as our region sets an example for the country.
We are thrilled to be a major part of the Way Home system and the Community COVID Housing Program. Search's contribution begins with our mobile outreach team's skilled one-on-one connection with some of Houston's most challenged individuals living on the street. Meeting these men and women wherever they are, our team returns again and again to build trust and to help them see that they can have a different life. And as we move people into their own homes, our housing support team steps up to strengthen each person's health, income, and stability.
We at the Houston Recovery Center and the Sobering Center are excited to be a part of this new innovative initiative. In addition to operating the Sobering Center, the Houston Recovery Center offers an 18-month recovery support program for individuals experiencing harmful alcohol and substance abuse. 80% of this program's participants are also homeless, and 70% have a mental health diagnosis. We provide peer coaching, health screenings provided by emergency medical technicians, substance abuse counseling, case management, and placement inside of appropriate care settings. Our goal is to effectively reach and house these individuals.
Healthcare for the Homeless Houston provides care for people who are living on the streets, in shelters, or in other supportive housing. We also support those who are at risk of becoming homeless. Most of our patients have no insurance, but face very challenging health issues that make it even harder for them to secure and retain stable housing.
The Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD is Harris County's local mental health authority. We help people with behavioral health and IDD needs to transform their lives through an accessible, integrated, and comprehensive recovery-oriented system of care. Over 60% of chronically homeless individuals have experienced a mental illness in their lifetime, and over 80% have experienced a substance use disorder in their lifetime, which makes care delivery and housing even more challenging. Building on Representative Coleman's early vision, we are appreciative and excited the city and county have come together to help us launch a new respite, rehabilitation, and reentry facility for these individuals.
Many years ago, the members of St. John's United Methodist Church in downtown Houston formed the Temenos Community Development Corporation. This group's goal is to develop affordable and desirable apartments. They focus on providing housing opportunities combined with the supportive services needed to improve the quality of life.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office is proud to be part of the team effort setting a viable path forward for those experiencing homelessness. Our partner agencies have different missions, yet we are united around the call to serve our most vulnerable neighbors. Jail is not a solution to homelessness. We are committed to diverting people experiencing homelessness away from the criminal justice system and toward more appropriate care, resources, and services. As we work together to stop the spread of the coronavirus, our homeless outreach team is on the front lines. These deputies are spreading awareness and providing essential supplies and hygiene products at homeless encampments. We work hard every day to serve our residents with care and understanding. Public safety is always our North Star.
The Coalition is indebted to Bob Urey for his leadership and commitment to our shared mission. And I am personally indebted to Bob for the mentoring and good counsel he has given me.
When we all focus on everyone having a home, we can build our community's health and realize the vision of a Houston without homelessness.
We look forward to continuing in this growing collaborative that is creating a responsive service and housing system for our community's homeless population.
We are excited by the new initiatives discussed today and are committed to this partnership with our colleagues to serve our citizens who are homeless and to create a healthier community.
It gives them a continuum of care so they may enjoy ongoing stable housing. We are thrilled this project is a coordinated part of the initiatives in our region's vision for an advanced homeless response system.
After participating in the Way Home since its inception, I'm looking forward to what collaboration with these partners will mean for Houston on the road ahead.
I am deeply encouraged and inspired by the strides we have made together. The Community COVID Housing Program and other initiatives across our region truly are helping those who are most in need. Let's keep the progress and momentum going.
In addition to these friends, scores of great people and organizations are dedicated to working as a team to address the complex and challenging needs of those among us who are homeless. We're extremely grateful for their tireless efforts to make a difference in the lives of others every day. We hope that you will support these efforts, especially in these challenging times. As a community, we have proven that we can move the needle on housing and care for those who are homeless. Let's use this moment to take our progress even further to end chronic homelessness and ensure that no one has to live that way again. Let me use this moment to thank again all who participated in our program today, and once again thanks Chevron, our presenting sponsor, our gold sponsors, and friend sponsors for helping to make this event possible. And let me thank you, our members, for your continuing strong support. In these challenging times, we are more grateful than ever. Thank you for joining us today, and let's get going on bringing our city and its downtown safely back.